I guess I'm here because I have been working over the past 5 years in reconstituting democracy in Europe, a project coordinated by ARENA. In this project, part of my colleagues was to look at processes of democratization from below. That means not from Brussels, not from Strasbourg, not from Florence, an observatory, but rather looking at the media debates, looking at into blogs, in the blogosphere, looking also into national parliamentary debates along this process of European constitutional reform from the failed constitutional treaty to the Lisbon Treaty and the 2009 elections. Well, in the very crisis context which we are experiencing now, there is new talk about democracy and strengthening democracy, especially in some grassroots, regional party media, calling for referendums, national referendums, especially in Germany, and there is talk about strengthening national parliaments even more, having maybe a third chamber composed of national parliamentarians. So these are new debates and new impetus, which I'm not taking up here because the organizers have asked me to talk about, discuss the question, how do EU citizens' European electoral rights compared to other forms of political participation regarding inequalities in rights distribution and barriers to exercising them. This is of course a research program which I'm here trying to pin down to 8 minutes.
Less.
Okay, so I have 3 points to make. From the perspective of obstacles and barriers, I distinguish between 3 types, 3 domains. The constitutional flaws, the institutional barriers, and cultural impediments, which make it difficult to exercise EU electoral rights and rights of participation for citizens at present. Regarding the constitutional impediments, the German Constitutional Court in its 2009 Lisbon ruling has made clear that it doesn't accept the Lisbon Treaty as an upgrade of European level representative democracy, that it criticizes the digressive proportionality of the distribution of seats in the European Parliament as a contradiction, a violation of the principle of electoral equality. This has been much debated. I don't go into this debate, but it makes clear that if it has been said by one of the speakers before, that the representative function is key to the qualities of the European Parliament. So there is some urgent need to rethink democratic representation by the European Parliament. Not talking about, of course, that there are other parliaments at the national level who similarly also violates the same principle. Second, regarding institutional barriers, we have looked in another context into the impediments for EU citizens to having access to exercising electoral rights in European elections. And there are some really very lamentable shortcomings regarding the very low level of participation of EU movers, mobile citizens. For example, EU movers residing in Germany surely enjoy the right to vote in local and European elections, but they do not participate in the elections for the Landtag or the Bundestag. We know that, as well as third country nationals don't have this right. But the effective effectively decreasing turnout in European electoral participation in part has also to do with the difficulties of EU mobile citizens to vote. There are a host of difficulties at the administrative level in terms of registering, first taking residence and then registering for on the electoral list. In an effect, while in the EU-wide, the proportion of non-national EU citizens has increased from 94 to 2004, from 6% to 12%. In Germany, by comparison, this proportion has dropped from 6.7 to 2% and 6% in 2004. So this doesn't come as a surprise, but this only indicates, I only want to highlight this field of administrative difficulties, which has also to do with the fact that so far there is no electronic vote, digital voting is not yet established, personal and postal vote, and plus the time restrictions or the time requirements make it very difficult. So regarding now the third kind of more or less tangible obstacles to exercising EU citizens' rights of participation has to do with norms of citizenship. Although looking into the treaties, we have a nice list of EU values, principles, which in theory should be abided by or cherished by EU citizens. But in reality, if we look in the data, we find different worlds of citizenship norms, from more conventional subject like citizens who considered a duty to vote and to abide and accept authorities, to the younger generations who do not anymore think so, but who rather look for alternative forms of participation in civil society, in social movements, not accepting, rather criticizing state authorities and EU authorities included. So having only very shortly highlighted these three obstacles, I would like to come to the conclusion. So in Europe there is a quest for inclusive European democracy in view of overcoming these obstacles on the one hand, but especially in the current situation where this quest for inclusive democracy has become visible since May at least this year on the streets of Madrid, Barcelona, Athens, Frankfurt, and so on, Rome, not to forget. Here, this is a challenge. We are seeing protest movements, social movements who express anger and frustration with national and with EU policies. Here, I would like, finishing, ask the question, or re-ask the old question, which are the functions of a parliament, especially of a parliament at the supranational level, which doesn't have to live to certain constraints and conditions like national parliaments, but which escapes certain impediments. For example, national parliaments have been said to be in decline because they have lost a lot of power in the international and global realm. European Parliament doesn't have doesn't attract these criticisms. My point is, from a perspective of democratizing movements and potentials and demands from below, three functions of the European Parliament would have to be rethought, reconsidered. The representative function in terms of representing protest movements, in terms of incorporating, neutralizing protest movements. This is a function of parliaments, which especially in democratization process is very important. And communication, this requires communication, second function, the communicative function, the contributing to the European public sphere, and this is, thank you, and both of them absorbing contestation, reconfiguring representation by strengthening the communicative function should certainly contribute to legitimizing also, to unfolding the potential, the legitimizing potential of the European Parliament. So thank you very much.